So yeah, you can reply and add some more things if you guys have.
Shall I start?
Right, no. Really sorry about that. Paul's away on his jollies this month, which means that I was left to do the StreamYard thing. Really sorry about this. We'll start again. We've been going for 5 minutes, blissfully unaware that anything was wrong. So this month, again, we have 2 talks, one by Janosch. We love talks about product development, and this month Janosch is sitting in one of the products that he's developed, which is quite interesting. And we know we can use IoT for home automation, so we also got Daniel Everitt along, who will be able to explain to us how to automate our washing machine or a dryer or anything we have in our house. It's a pretty amazing presentation, comes highly recommended. Bit of IoT news. Google Cloud Platform have pulled the plug on their IoT offering. You've now got 11 months left to get off their offering onto something like Azure IoT Hub or AWS offering. IoT North are looking for sponsors. So if you fancy reaching one of the largest IoT networks in the UK, please get in contact with either myself or Paul. Paul's going to be doing a October special that is so secret I'm not even allowed to be present. So that sounds quite exciting. Big product announcement from him. Please ask questions in the chat as we're going along. Okay, so once again, please say hello to everyone.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Okay, let's try and kick off, as we're a bit late now.
No worries. I'll just a bit faster. Right. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Janosch, and I'm from Clipper Automotive. And what we do is we're remixing existing cars into electric vehicles. And the motivation for that on the next slide is we've got 39.2 million vehicles licensed in the UK. And if we're serious about net zero, we have to do something to them. The question is, what are we going to do? Are we going to throw them all away and rebuild everything from scratch? What about all the embedded carbon in the vehicles? Paul, can you hear me? Can you advance the slides? Yeah, thank you. So our approach is we combine proven vehicles with EV technology. So our goal is to make the switch for drivers more affordable, so more drivers can drive electric cars like today and not in 10 years time or in 5 years time. And what we've done is we focused on one iconic vehicle type at a time. The one that I'm sitting in, and if we want to advance the slide one more, please. We've built some taxis. So in the EV space, there's a whole bunch of people having great ideas, but they always talk a lot about the future and use a bunch of big words, but they somehow never seem to be able to show working vehicles, which is why I'm sitting in one. And on this slide, you can see on the left-hand side is the cab that I drove to Ireland. This is in Fishguard in Wales. So not only is it real, it also really drives. On the right-hand side is the proof that we've built more than one by having more than one vehicle in the same picture. There's loads of complexities in developing something like this. Sometimes people say, oh, it's just an engine swap. Well, it's kind of true, but I've just, on this slide, put a bunch of problems that we had to solve to get to real driving vehicles with appropriate range. So we had to make motor mounts, we had to make a gearbox adaptation because you need an 8:1 ratio on the drivetrain. All the instruments you need to make sure work with the new engine, speed or temperature, the weight distribution of the car is relevant, crumple zones, you need a cooling system, you need a heating system, you need to make battery boxes. This is all the mechanical side. Now, the stuff that's a bit more interesting to our audience here. You need an inverter, a powerful inverter. You need a 3-phase AC motor controlled by the inverter. We're using field-oriented control. And then there's a whole bunch of certification and regulation. MOT is like the starting point for something like this. And then to get deeper into the electrical side, if you know your way around cars a little bit, the alternator normally charges the battery, but the alternator is mechanically driven by a belt, so is your air conditioning, so all the cooling pumps. So none of that you can reuse if you put an electric motor in this. You have to come up with solutions for this. And now the really nerdy stuff that you've been waiting for, you have to do the CAN bus integration with the car and with the components of the car. You have to speak the rapid charging protocol with the charger on the street. You have to integrate with the BMS, which gives you tells you the temperature of the battery, state of charge, isolation resistance. And really, and then the cherry on top, I suppose, is we've got a Wi-Fi app that I use to debug vehicles. Something if you've got like a live system, you can do live debugging and live plotting of variables, for which we use little ESP. So if we go one slide further, I've got some more impressions. We split the battery boxes, B1 and B2 in the diagram. So we've got some batteries in the front, some in the rear. M is the motor, G is the gearbox. We're using a lot of Nissan components, but we're not tied into the Nissan ecosystem. We also have components from Vauxhall, Tesla, and some of our own developments. In the bottom left-hand side, you can see an STM32 backpack board design that I've built. In the middle, you can see the gearbox adaptation that we've made. On the right-hand side, at the bottom, you can see the motor mounts. In the and on the top left-hand side, you can see a default Nissan motor stack. At the moment, there's a question that just popped up here: which BMS did we use? At the moment, we're using the Nissan BMS because we're using Nissan battery cells. There's a bunch of other BMS suppliers that we're talking to and that we're investigating. Yeah. If we go one slide further, please. What we've built, just the top level features that you would see in a sales brochure. For our cap, we've got a 40 kilowatt hour battery pack in, which gives you about 120 miles, an 80 kilowatt motor, a 10 kilowatt AC charger, 50 kilowatt rapid charging capability. And then we've done a whole bunch of comfort features, like the power steering still works. You can reuse the shifter. We try to use as many of the gauges as possible. And we're a whole lot cheaper than the market leader, who built a hybrid, which is, oh yeah, one thing that I forgot to put here is that we're lighter as well. Like the market leader weighs 3 tons, the new vehicles, which are hybrids. And we come in at like 2,100 or something like that, which is very close to the previous diesel version. Yeah, if you go one slide ahead, thank you. Essentially the way we got here is by reusing existing systems as much as we could, and I built a VCU that's orchestrating essentially what OEMs have built, which makes licensing a lot easier. So the electronics that we've used in the top right-hand corner of this is we're using the ESP8266, which I'm sure you guys are all very familiar with, both happy and unhappy with the limitations, but also the possibility that they give you. The VCU's got an STM32 in it. So does the inverter, which I haven't designed that bit. And then, yeah, I built a flight recorder, which is a Raspberry Pi and a little Pi hat, which just logs the entire CAN bus. Here's a question: would you consider wireless charging on taxi stands? Sure. I haven't built it. I'm really good at saying no, so I just try to I've tried to figure out the bare minimum that I have to do, and then I do just that with, like, I don't know what you call blinkers, they're calling for horses, like laser focus, I guess. So yeah, sure, wireless charging is a possibility, but we haven't done it. Yeah, I think I've said everything on here. If we go, yeah, okay, if we go one slide further, a few words about the vehicle control unit that I built. This is actually previous design in the photo, but you know, the black connector you can see there is the default taxi connector that we're reusing, so we don't even have to cut into the harness or anything. What happens is you take the diesel engine out, you take the ECU out, and our control unit plugs right into the existing harness. And then a backpack design where everything that's green in the photo on the right hand side, I've designed in KiCad or KiCad, or however you say that. And the red is like an off-the-shelf component, which is also nice. Early on, I burned quite a few of these because I was stupid, and then you could just swap them out. Orchestrating, I've said a few times. I believe in test-driven development wherever possible. So I've got this as on the top right-hand side, it says 43 unit tests, which I execute every time I build something. This is now grown to 60. Yeah, I'm going to advance one more slide. What the VCU does is inverter control. It talks to the BMS. It controls the charge current for the AC charger. It also controls the charge current for the DC charger if you go to like one of the big places that you have on the motorway now. All the vehicle inputs and outputs, you know, key turning, shifter, which position is the pedal in actually, which turns out for most cars is just a potentiometer, which I thought was pretty funny. And then the software is bare metal C++ programming, which I haven't done that much before, apart from in university. Heavily reliant on unit tests, I said that. There's a big state machine that I built modeling the whole vehicle. One-step deployment that executes my unit tests. And then this is the monitoring of the params through the ESP82. There's the web interface, which enables me to log them and to plot them. And you can check them, and this isn't me who did this, on openinverter.org. There's a guy called Johannes Hübner who's built a lot of, well, essentially I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, right? There's two guys, there's Damien McGuire and Johannes Hübner, and they both have unlocked a whole lot of OEM systems for people like us to then use and integrate into their cars. And if you go to the next slide, that's the end already. My name is Janosch from ClipperCab, not .com, clipper.cab. If you go to our website, you can see the vehicle in motion, and we have been supported by some private funding and by Innovate UK through the Niche Vehicle Network for a few tenders who helped us develop this. And that's it. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
That's great, Janosch. I have one question.
Yep.
One thing I'm particularly interested in is testing, but like the hardware testing. You know, cars can get particularly hot or particularly cold, and you have to deal with vibration and lots of really difficult situations. Have you done any specific testing around that?
So because we're not, I mean, I like to brag and say we built these cars, but what we've, from a licensing perspective, what we have done is the engine swap that I mentioned. So what we do is we do a whole bunch of road tests, which is why my trip to Ireland was on the cards and stuff. Additionally, so it starts with an MOT. Then the next step is what's called an IVA, individual vehicle approval, where you have to write a long report about what you've done and why what you've done is good. Then you have to submit that. Then they go, yeah, okay, this is fine. And then you have to get an electrical safety inspection for isolation resistance. With power electronics. So they focus in their testing, they focus quite a lot on the power electronics, really. The little stuff, so far, people haven't asked us that much about it. But whenever somebody asks for, you know, paperwork to supply something, we go, okay, how do we get that? And then we just do it. So for the power electronics, you have to bring the vehicle into an on state, into the drivable state, and then do measurements on the high voltage lines in that state, and then they have to be happy with those measurements. And then you submit all that report, and then you have to go to the test center again, and then they do it. And that's kind of as far as you can get. And additionally, taxi licensing in the UK is fragmented, so every city every council, or most councils will have like a taxi licensing guy who sees all of this stuff and then also asks further questions. And then you get peculiarities, like the turning circle, which is relevant for London, or the spare wheel, for which we changed the location. I know you're aiming for consumer, what is ISO 27 or something like that, right? If you sell something directly to consumers. For cars, it's a bit different.
Okay, cool. Very interesting. So do you have any taxis in, like, serving customers in London or Leeds or anywhere else?
London is particularly difficult so far, but we found some other councils who are quite welcoming to us, and we have passed their licensing appointments. Within a matter of weeks, I believe you will see them, and hopefully that will be in some newspapers as well. So, oh yeah, if someone is listening and who's like a reporter for a newspaper or something, or has got a lead for me, please send it along, because we can do with press.
Okay, great, fantastic, Janosch. There were no further questions, so we'll switch over to Daniel. Daniel, welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Now on to the very exciting topic of home automation.
It's very strange not seeing people in person. But, bear with me a second. Get the slide ready.
Hang on, while you're doing that, Janosch, oh no, Janosch is busy. Janosch, there was a question from Chris. I would consider, can you hear me, Janosch?
Oh, yes.
I would consider converting my kit car to electric in the future at some point, or building another kit car as an EV. Have you considered supplying conversion kits for enthusiasts? This sounds like a big project.
We have, actually, now that I'm outside, anyway, you can take a look from the outside and see this is real. This was not a stage. Kit cars. We have, we deliberately only focus on cabs. And the value from cabs is because if you've got a real taxi driver, they do loads and loads of miles, so they make a big eco impact. If you're looking for a kit, depending what car you have got, I would kindly send you in the direction of Zero EV near Bristol, is I think what they're called. They make kits for VW camper vans and stuff like that. Or there's London Electric Cars, who released a kit for a Mini. And given that this is IoT North, you can also check out George Kinghorn on, I think it's Kinghorn EV he's called now. And he's up, I don't know, I think in the Northeast. And he will help you with individual conversions.
Thank you, Janosch. That was an extremely thorough answer.
No worries.
Okay, over to Dan.
Hello, everyone. So, yeah, my name is Dan Everitt. I'm a data protection specialist for Proact IT UK up in Chesterfield, so it's kind of north-ish. And before I have two boys, as you see, I've got a 1-year-old and 3-year-old. So I do a lot of IoT projects, home automation, IoT projects. So I've got a cluster of Raspberry Pis. I've been 3D printing bits and pieces, cases. Got a 3D printer down there. It's not on at the moment, luckily, because you'll hear it grinding away. I do a lot of home automation. So mainly this talk's primarily talking with today. That's my dashboard I'm currently using at the moment. I'll do a bit of barbecuing. That's what I look like when I barbecue. So that's always one to take note of. And I also a bit of a soft play master. Having two boys, they absolutely love soft plays. Who doesn't? Because it's get to go back to a kid again. So, pretty much, what is home automation really? Oh, 1 minute. Wrong way. But it was back up. What's home automation? So yeah, we've got connecting appliances like thermostats and kettles, fridges and lighting to each other. Hook it up to the internet. It provides you with an extra layer of convenience. But like tomorrow, this Internet of Things will allow to learn our patterns and respond to our needs without us lifting a finger, which can be quite strange and quite scary at times with the amount of big data platforms out there harvesting and hoovering up our data. But You know, why not add another one? So a smart home is one outfitted with wirelessly connected devices. So I've got a range of devices here. I can't see my webcam anymore, but so this is a trad-free motion sensor. It does look sensors and motion. You can configure automations with these. Just a generic IKEA trad-free switch, on-off switch, with multiple prongs on them. This is a singular switch. And we've got a multiple array of switches there. This is one by a company called Shelly. Smart Home UK provided me with a couple of Shelly devices a couple of weeks ago. That was very grateful of them. This is a generic plug, a UK plug that's provided by TP-Link. That's a cloud device. We'll get more into that later on. And we've got a different kind of plug. This is a Gosong Chinese branded plug that's been flashed to get out of the cloud. And it's another different kind of motion sensor as well for the Zigbee. We'll get into Zigbee stuff later on. So home automation can be broken down into two subjects, really. We've got the automation side, which is programming multiple different kind of devices to turn on at different given points, different given points of any time, based on an environmental variable or state changes within your home automation platform. So this can be like heating systems, lighting control, smart plugs, fans. I've got a fan running behind me in the garage. Hopefully you can't hear it. It's not too loud. Then the control side, so remote control your devices and any entities whilst away from home. My phone, yeah. So this gives us part of Home Assistant brings into an app that you can install on Android and iOS devices. So you can remote connecting from home, remote connecting to home while you're away, all around the world, anywhere coming in. And then learning patterns to control automations for you. So I believe the Hive and the Nest have a feature of the Nest has a feature to learn when you walk past it. That knows when you're home, and it learns if you come home every day at 5:30, it will automatically know to adjust your time before this to give you roughly 20 minutes of pre-heat up time for your home. So it will automatically turn on your heating 20 minutes before you're due to arrive home, so it's warmer than it usually is without heating. That's quite smart. So how can you use it? There's a multiple array of devices already out there. It's fully capable of providing smart home services. So we've got the Alexa platform. We've got an Alexa Gen 4 dot down here. HomeKit, smart things for Samsung ecosystem. If this then that. A few people might already know about if this then that. That's quite a wide platform that you can use webhooks and URL filtering to log straight into. That's quite good. I don't use if this then that because then I'll start charging. So I try and keep it a bit cheaper for myself. Home Assistant, which we're primarily going to be talking about today, and Hubitat. I've not had much exposure with Hubitat, but I know it's a big competitor for Home Assistant, so that'll be interesting to learn more about that. But we won't be covering much on that today. So Home Assistant, really. So like, have you ever left the house and thought, did I lock the door? Did I leave the heating on? Did I leave the TV on? You kind of get the picture there. Having Home Assistant installed alongside the Android or iOS companion app, you can then just check wherever you are, anywhere around the world, what's currently happening in your home today. So pretty much you can see here on the slides, kitchen lights is on and the living room lights are on, and the living room temperature is currently 21 degrees. So using little things like these is Xiaomi. It's a Bluetooth temperature and humidity sensor. This pairs up to things called ESP32s. ESP8266, as were mentioned previously by Janosch in his taxes. So I use the ESP32s for Bluetooth support. These basically pull in and scrape any Bluetooth signals and beacons that are programmed into it, and these pull down and go into my Home Assistant platform. You can always simply go into our app, quickly check for peace of mind or that oh shit moment. Chances are that the product out there can make your life a little bit more convenient. And I kind of want to just quickly ask the audience. I asked this on Twitter the other day, and I got a little bit of a feedback, but not much. What is the number one thing that you wish you didn't have to do every day for home, or what do you always forget to do on a regular basis? Like for myself, it's taking the rubbish out, or taking the bins out for the alternating multiple schedules. I've got 3 bins here where I live, and it's quite confusing of which bin is for which week and which day, really. So I've kind of like automated most of the processes. We'll get more into that later on. So the Home Assistant features, really, it currently integrates with, at the time of originally writing this, as John mentioned earlier on, I originally wrote this for .netsheff a couple months back around May. At the time of writing originally, we had 1,985 integrations in the Home Assistant platform, and just in 3 months alone, that's risen to 2,132. So it's 147 integrations extra now, with basically an integration is how it integrates into your home. So there's another 147 integrations now that you can connect into your home and control and assist your life, really. Assist your life or home life or offices or anywhere you want to deploy it, really. There's 2 types of stores additionally. So we've got the official and the community add-on stores using hacks and additional GitHub support. So if there's nothing, if the generic Home Assistant add-ons aren't really up to spec, then you can use community edition apps and GitHub implementations. There's a secure mobile app I've previously demonstrated on Android and iOS, and you can use web on a laptop anywhere or computer if you have access. Local control out of the cloud. I use this term lightly because obviously the app is a cloud-based app, but it's quite secure. It uses I believe it's a double NAT to a service hosted in AWS or Azure that they're currently using. Capable of installing a Raspberry Pi, Docker containers, or VMware. So I have quite a large array of Raspberry Pis knocking about. I've kind of collected them over the years, tinkering with random IoT projects. So just got this one here out of a box a minute ago while John was talking. So it's just an Enviro Plus hat with a particulate sensor. Currently looking at just installing this into an outdoor box for outdoor monitoring of air quality. Just little things like that. But yeah, anything from a 3B to a 4B kind of Raspberry Pi can host Home Assistant quite happily. I've got another case. This is obviously just one thrown about. I've got another case that's running on an SSD. It's preferred to run on an SSD if you can, just the general wear and tear of micro SD cards. It can be quite harsh. It's a 3 tier, so I use 3 term loosely. My subscription to the app, it's roughly around about, I think it's £6 a month, something like that. But that goes into helping fund and helping progress the project on, which that's all it takes for what it gives it back is more than happy to pay that. So what works with it? I previously spoke about all these sensors, so I've got a big handful of sensors here. There's loads of different things. I've got another webcam down here that it might be a bit of a faff to switch to. We'll try and. Do you know of any CO2 sensors? Sorry, I've had my notes over the screen, so I've not really seen many questions coming through that might connect to a Raspberry Pi. So the CO2 sensors, there is a Pi Marini. I use Pi Marini a lot, and a Pi Hut. Pi Marini is based in Sheffield, so it's a good local store. It's a local business, which I like repping for. There is a lot in the background. I shall look for a CO2 sensor for you. But yeah, there is one. There's some really good ones out there. I'm actually looking for one myself. Where I am now in this room, it's just a 3x3 box room in the end of my garage. I converted it due to the plague that was hitting the stores a couple of months ago, really recently. So coronavirus hit. We all work from home. I've got 2 kids running around the house. I had to move out. Had to move out into the garage, just for ease of a working life. Really, it's easier. But yeah, with the door shut, it gets really hot in here. So I was interested in the CO2 level. The CO2 level in here compared to what the clean air and stuff circulating air, and seeing how that copes with drowsiness and stuff at work. That was a little fun side project I was looking at. I'll come back to CO2 sensor shortly. So what works with it? We've got alarms, calendars, climate, DIY, doorbells, energy monitoring, health, heating, lights, switches, sensors, CO2, CCTV, curtains, door locks, thermostats. The list goes on. There is absolutely loads and loads. Post. There is a Post API. An API for the post system. I don't think the UK's got it, but a couple of them have it, where you can track your posts and parcels. That's quite cool. National Rails also opened up their API platform for Home Assistant, so you can track when your train's coming in, or if it's going to be delayed at all, so you can alternate when leaving for the train. Vacuums and voice and weather. Weather's plays a big part in my automation system for washing cycles. So cloud versus non-cloud. Basically, there's a big variety of which one you should use. So as I said earlier on, this TP-Link smart plug, this uses the cloud. I don't use these anymore because of that mainly. I don't like having a dependency on cloud services, but cloud is there for the convenience. The issue with that though is there's no privacy, and subscriptions normally come with a fee. And the latency, really, I'd say latency, it's not that much, but it's also a little bit that can alter. Say if you're walking in a room, it's I'll go into this more later on. And this one is a non-cloud device. I've flashed this with something called Tasmotor. If you know of, if you're already frequent with home automation or anything, you'll know already of Tasmotor. That's a really good little cool device. So sorry, John just brought the thing up. So I've got a GoSun smart plug there. They're about £5 or £6 on Amazon, not too much. And then obviously the TP-Link devices. This is with energy monitor. This is an energy monitoring model. So we've got energy monitoring built in. These also have energy monitoring built in. And this is a cloud/non-cloud hybrid. So this is a Shelly device. This is a 1L, I believe it is. It's just a switch for standard UK lighting, which is, it's got a cloud app, but if it disconnects from the internet, then it will relay back and forth on Bluetooth, I believe. Might need looking up on that one, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's pretty good. Then so we've got non-cloud performance. It's slightly faster, a lot faster actually, in relating to the cloud. We've got reliability. You're not having to rely on something like the cloud or anything like that. Dedicated automations, so you can automate your heart's content. More privacy, because you're not throwing anything out to the cloud or any services that you don't really know of. And it's normally more upfront cost, but I find most of my devices off like AliExpress or Vanguard or anywhere like that. Some of the devices are off Amazon as well, so it's not too bad. Just don't ask how much I spent on home automation products. Next slide. So the cloud configuration, as I said, you have your sensor here. So this could be in anything in relation of like this IKEA Tradfi hub. So this uses a IKEA Tradfi hub, which is in the cupboard down there. I won't get it out. I'll show you if you really want to see it. This will beacon out to the hub, and then the hub will call up to the cloud service and process the request. It'll check what's linked into that request, and it'll turn on that device. This is actually quite a fast, really, for what it is, quite a fast service. But I wouldn't rely on this kind of service for triggering light automations at night when I'm walking into a room. You kind of want your lights to be quite fast and quite on there. You don't really want to wait for that cloud. It can take a second or two. So it's not. I don't find it very reliable. So then we've got a non-cloud configuration. So we've got a sensor. So again, one of these, or even one of my temperature sensors, really. Basically, it goes straight out to the hub. So with the trad-free sensors, this is Zigbee. So we have a Zigbee stick. This is a Sonoff 03 Zigbee dongle. This plugs into the back of Raspberry Pi. Runs on an app called Zigbee 2 MQTT, which I can show you about later on. And then pretty much that's it. It just like pairs up through the pairing process that you normally do to pair it with your generic hub that it comes with. And then that will send the request to the device. This is a lot faster for like light automations and stuff like that. I have a lot of every door has a door sensor on it. I'll show you my dashboard if you get any time later on. I've already been talking for 35 minutes. Wow, better try and wrap up. What I've done with it, so basically I use it for a heads up when leaving work. So I don't go to the office much anymore, but when I used to, it just used to give my partner a notification when I've left work, just to reassuring I've not stayed on any later or anything like that. So she kind of know when to expect me home. Notifications before bedtimes with current temperatures and what nightwear is needed for boys. So that's mainly where I got into home automation. When I first had my first child, it was a big scary new world. We didn't understand anything or what to put them in. It was like the height of summer. What do you put them in if it's too hot, if it's too cold? So I actually got one of these. This was actually one of my first Raspberry Pis I got with the environmental sensor on there. This does, I think it's temperature, light, sound, gases, and humidity and stuff like that. There's quite a lot of features crammed into this little board. Very, very good board if you want to get into it. So that sends me a notification every night. I think it's possibly already triggered. Yeah, it's triggered on there now. It triggers every day at 6:30. So you might not be able to see it. Well, that's the notification there. It tells this webcam's not very good for zooming in. Basically, it says recommended zero tug or short sleeve vest. So that's based on the national statistics for what kids should wear. Away from home alarm system. So I don't have a generic alarm. I've just like hooked it into Home Assistant. All my door sensors have states on them, and it knows when we're away based on GPS locations. So it knows if a house is in away mode, the door's triggered, it'll send a feed from one of my CCTV cameras around the house to my phone, and also with which area that door's been triggered in as well. An average whole house heating system. So I've initially got a Hive system, which for Hive, I think it's roughly around £50 per room extra sensor you want. Whereas these are about £3 from AliExpress. So I've got a bunch of these dotted around the house all over the shop. You see it's quite warm in here already, and the humidity is climbing because the door's shut. So these go into an average of per room. So I've got every room, and then I have an average downstairs and an average upstairs. With a dual heating control system, you can say at night only monitor temperatures upstairs. If that goes below a certain temperature of 18 degrees, trigger the heating. Or during the day, if the downstairs temperature is below 18 degrees, just trigger the downstairs heating, and vice versa. And then with my office one, this is paired up in the winter. I'll bring in an oil radiator because even though it's an insulated office and room, it can still get quite chilly in here in winter. So that's paired up with an oil radiator to trigger on this smart plug. This will trigger this smart. So this will call out to the hub, which is the ESP32 chip. I can't see it. It's in there. It's in my little rack there. That will be processed on Home Assistant. Check the temperature. If it's below 18 degrees, it'll trigger this smart plug to power on. And then when it's below 18, if it's in between 12 and 18, it'll trigger this based on when I'm at work. So it knows my work schedule of 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Automate heating prior to arriving home, so it knows our location as well. So as I said earlier on about the Nest system, it learns your process. This is more of a controlled off the cloud, self-hosted like Nest system, but for Hive. So it knows when we come into a zone within a mile of our house, if we've been away for a long period of time and then returning home and it's below 80 degrees, it'll turn heat on. Heat and humidity in the kitchen after 5:30, this triggers and wait till 6:30, then starts a bedtime routine. So for bedtime, we play a lot of white noise for my boys. We find it helps them sleep a little bit better. Not being able to hear random bumps and noises in the night. Then also the humidity of the kitchen is done through a temperature sensor. So that means a meal's been prepped, or we're about to have tea or dinner, whichever you like to call it. And so then I can also turn the dining room lights on, get it ready for like a meal really, and then it'll follow us around the house. It knows where we are in the house based on motion. So, wrong way. Monitor temperature in the boys' bedroom. If it's over 19 degrees, it turns a smart plug on with a dumb fan attached. So smart fans are quite expensive, but you can just buy a generic fan for £15 from Tesco's and attach it to one of your smart plugs. It's not too bad at all. How would you recommend performing automatic garage door opening and closing based on GPS, home Wi-Fi connected to something else? That's a really good question. So I've got mine's just a up and over door. It's not a fancy door, and I don't really use the garage for cars and stuff like that. But you can use the app based on presence, and also for that, because you need to be more closer to home. You don't want to open your garage door when you say a mile away and have your garage door open for a mile. So you could use Wi-Fi detection. So I use a Unify system here that knows it hooks directly into Home Assistant. So as soon as my phone joins the Wi-Fi, it can do different states. So you could say, when my phone is on Wi-Fi, open the garage door. If there's no motion in the house, or if you've been away from the house more than say 2 hours, it then think, I've been away from home. And I'm probably arriving in my car. Or you could even probably hook it into your Bluetooth of your car if you've got a smarter like radio with Bluetooth support. ESP32s can detect your Bluetooth signature, and then it'll know that your car has just recently approached because you've just reconnected to Bluetooth on your Raspberry Pi or ESP32 using something else called ESP Presence. That could also trigger your garage door to open. You can combine multiple metrics into it, so multiple states. I am in my zone, I am on Wi-Fi, and my car is on Bluetooth. That will then trigger the garage door to open, so it's more secure. Or you can just use the app and just say garage door open now, please. How have you found the range on the Bluetooth humidity sensors? How many HSPs did you need to pick up all over the house? So I've currently got 3. Basically, my house was built in 1973, I believe. It's quite an old house, so I've got thick walls, thick brick walls. So I've got an issue currently in the front room where I have to have a sensor in there just to pick up one sensor in the front room, even though the sensor's here and I've got a temperature sensor literally on the other side of the wall. It still can't pick it up. So I've had to put one literally in this room as a front room. So I've got one upstairs, 2 downstairs. I've got one in the front room and one in the kitchen cupboards. They're all hidden away. The really tiny little chips. I'm trying to find one. It's literally the size of a. It's literally the size of a Raspberry Pi Zero. It's tiny. So they're really, really well easily hid, and they just run off 5 volts. So it's just a little phone charger. No problem. Yeah, there's a multiple different range of different things we can do, and much more, as I said. So maintenance issue is with a lot of battery devices comes maintenance. So I've got a battery watch state. It checks over 15 different devices. When they drop down below to 30%, it'll send a notification out to the phone saying, it'll say office temperature sensor needs updating. Then we'll needs a battery change, and then if it drops below any more than 15%, it'll remind me again. Just keeps reminding me every hour until I get annoyed and get a notification. I go and change batteries. Maintenance is easier by not having other automations not work because makes maintenance easier by not having other automations not work because the sensor batteries died. And backups. So we need a lot of backups. So I have an automated backup process that runs in the background continuously. But the issue is with updates comes breaking changes. That's always one to look out for. Every update you do, always check your breaking changes. So that's one thing. Keep it simple, really. Don't overcomplicate automations. I like having automations, but I try and keep them so simple and easy to understand using something called Node-RED. It's a building block automation style of controlling and programming. Probably going to run out of time, so I'm not being able to give you a demo. But yeah, it's a very simple thing for Node-RED. It's called. If you, it can be run on any kind of platform. Doesn't have to be home automation.
I wouldn't worry about time. I'd just crack on. Yeah.
Okay, right. If you don't know what you're doing, there's many hours of content out there. Absolute many hours of content. I'll put up on my Twitter later on about who's probably the best people to follow in the home automation world. There's hints and tips all over the internet. Basically, how I started was literally just watching guys on YouTube. And it's great. There's so much help out there. Literally drop a comment on anything on any of the videos, and you get swarmed with replies and different ways of approaching things as well. So like the garage door example earlier on, there's loads of different ideas out there already for automating garage door openings. It's really, really cool. There's a lot. This is actually a question I think John asked back before my previous .NET talk. Where have you found it's changed your life? Peace of mind, mainly, over my first child. As I said, it's a big, scary world of not knowing when you're what to put your child in for nighttime wear, anything like that. And also, like, peace of mind for the house as well, for security. So make sure everything's turned off as well. There's a lot of scary times ahead with all the energy crisis currently going on. So saving money by turning things off when you leave things on by mistake. One of these is my partner. We've got 2 kids. They like to watch TV all the time, so they're continuously leaving the TV on all the time. But when my partner leaves the house, and if I'm in the office, it'll turn the front room TV off automatically. As soon as she's left the zone of home, it'll just turn off the Fire Stick in the back of the TV, and that kills the TV off. That's a good one. Lights as well. So we're starting to get into winter now, so we're starting to need lights a little bit more. So when I go to bed, if my phone's charging past 10:30, it'll kill all the lights in the house. But it waits for my phone to be charging before it does that, because built into the app is a state of my phone's charging state. So that's quite a good one for controlling different lights and different things around the house, and heating and plugs, really. So yeah, automating smart plugs. Reminders about daily events and stuff, and daily and weekly events, bin collections and house chores, washing notifications. Basically, behind my washing machine in the kitchen and my tumble dryer in the office, I've got one of these Ghost Sun smart plugs, and they've got energy monitoring built in. So that records a state into Home Assistant. Very, very cheap and convenient app from AliExpress, but need additional device connected to HA. Have you tried fitting an ESP inside an IK? I've seen that, yeah. A lot of people are doing that at the moment. For the last few months as well. I've just not got around to doing it yet. The air quality sensors are really good in IKEA. They're really cheap, as Chris has mentioned. There's quite a lot of good stuff out there. And this is one of the DIY approaches I was mentioning in what can you do with it. There's a lot of people so referring to those round BLA sensors. These ones, common hack, and you can get PM255 as a PM2.5 as a bonus. There we go. That's quite good, actually. I'll go try and get into that. Yeah, I'll try and see if I can persuade the missus to go to IKEA sometime soon. She hates it. Softer lighting in the middle of the night for walking around the house at night. So the motion states trigger my smart bulbs to come on at a dim, I think it's around 5%, something like that at night. It's just you don't want to be walking out of your bedroom and be blinded by 100% bright light when you turn the light on. So it follows you around the house based on motion, and then they'll stay on for roughly around about, I think it's 5-10 minutes. That'll be enough time for me to come down, go into the kitchen, grab a bottle, either warm it up for the young one or keep it cold for the older one, go back up to the room and carry on giving them a feed or something like that. It's just little things like that. It's really, really nice. It's pretty good. House security notifications again while we're away. I mentioned on that earlier on. So it'll send a feed down to my phone with a CCTV snapshot of a camera of that closest door to that notification. What's next? I want to get into object detection. So there's a project called Frigate out there. This basically hooks into your CCTV feeds using RSP, an RSP feed, I believe it is. So that hooks into your existing CCTV network cameras and gives you object detection. So you can say there's a person walking up to your drive, and it'll also take a snapshot of the face, and it'll compile it can scan that against a database and see if it's one of your family date-like faces. If not, then it'll send you a notification saying, oh, this random person's coming up to your drive or something like that with a snapshot of their face, so you can investigate it better. Extend the Zigbee out to the office and the garage. So basically that's what this sticks for. I've not used this yet, but I'm going to reflash this as a router. A lot of people out there, if you know about Zigbee and stuff, the Sonoff 3.0 can be flashed as a router to extend your coverage. So I'm trying to get this as closest to the house as I can to extend the Zigbee to the garage. Wall-mounted detachable tablet, centralized location. So I'm currently using a Surface Go, Mobile Go. This is my tablet for just throwing around the house and stuff. I mentioned throwing around because I very nearly just dropped it. So I want to get into, because I've got a 3D printer, I want to design a case for it for wall mounting it to anywhere around the house. So I'll just pick it up and undock it. It's got snap fit connected to it, so it's quite easy for just undoing it. Magnetic snap. ESP presence for ESP home for presence detection. So this is based on BLE Bluetooth signaling. So you can use your phone or like a tile. I'm subscribing to the tile ecosystem quite a lot because I lose a lot of things very, very frequently. So you can use these tiles to also detect when you're home. So as I was saying with the garage door earlier on, using ESP home, that detect your car, your phone, your watch. A tile has recently come into the zone of home because it's connected to the ESP. You can have an ESP32 near your garage door, so it extends the signal even further out to your drive. And then you could put the program, you could put it in so around the time of you guesstimating arriving home, it would know that you've arrived home in your car through your radio connecting from your car or a device in like a tile in your car or something like that. And then an open garage door. So another thing for like hooking in. And a standing, so I've got a standing desk. This is a standing desk I'm currently sat at, funnily enough. But I sit way too much at work when I'm working. It annoys me with the amount of time I'm roughly sat for like 9-10 hours a day. So I got the standing desk to try and incorporate me to get up and stand around more. So for when I have a meeting, I'll stand up and stuff like that. So you could plug Teams into Home Assistant. If you have a meeting start, it would automatically rise your desk. You don't even have to reach down for the controls and remember, because a lot of times I'll just sit there and just carry on through the meeting, sat down. But you can automate things like I got Fitbit. So my Fitbit's connected to Home Assistant as well. So it knows if my step count's low, it can just rise my desk automatically. Using a device, I got sent this device by a guy in the States for testing. Basically, it's an ESP2866 with two twin RJ45 ports that hooks into my desk controller down below under my desk. It's not working yet. It needs a little tweaking and stuff, but that's how I'm hooking it in. Hooking it into it. It's just basically a D1 Mini with RJ45 ports and a PCB board that's got everything on board that it needs. It's quite cool. if you want a link to that or anything, I'll gladly send it to you. Basically, yeah. Any questions? I might have missed some questions at the beginning. Apologies if I did miss your question at all. I don't know if I did or not. So I have my notes up.
There was one in relation to your question, what problems are you facing? And Sleepy Zero's 91 asked, says that they have watering plants always die on me. So what's the IoT solution to that?
Funny that. In my box, in my drawer down here, I have another project somewhere. It's a big drawer. Full of Raspberry Pis and stuff. It's here. It's actually already on my desk. This is a grow hat by Pi Marini. It has the sensor soil sensors. So we have. I'll try and get my other webcam on because it's a little bit better for. It's a little bit better to zoom in. This is one of my cube I was going to demo earlier on as well. But basically, it has some little jumper connectors underneath. These three on top are for soil sensors, and these three underneath are for pumps. So you can have three 5-volt, a couple of volt pumps underneath that ultimately water your plants. I've already hooked it up to MQTT. That feeds into my MQTT, which Home Assistant will record out, grab the value of what that sensor is giving, then it can trigger said pump through Python code. That's quite a good one.
So you're running MQTT locally? Is that part of Home Assistant?
Yeah. So I'm running. Just switch my webcam back. Yeah. So I'm running. There's MQTT. There's an MQTT broker built into Home Assistant. You can also host it outside of Home Assistant. It doesn't have to be on the same Raspberry Pi. My cluster behind me, part of it is I want to start like taking down the amount of Raspberry Pis I'm running. Power consumption, it's hitting us all really. So you can host MQTT anywhere really. It can be on a Docker VM container or anything like that. Fancy, looks a great solution. Thanks for remembering, I asked John. Yeah, sorry, I had my notes over the stream. I assume you have no plans to. Actually, yeah, we are. We're currently in the process of looking for a new house, so that's going to be even more fun. When
2 days to reinstall all the IoT stuff.
Oh yes, yeah. Hopefully, it should just work. Hopefully,
I love working with optimists.
No, yeah. When we really moved here 3 years ago, and then basically an opportunity has come up where it's too good to give away, so we might be moving away shortly. Could I access local air temperature, humidity, rainfall from a Met Office and use it in my garden automation? Yes, you can.
Let me got a JSON feed, haven't they?
Yes.
Looking at my solar panels because I wanted to cross-reference what their forecast was with what I received from the panels.
Yeah, I'm just sharing my screen again on my dashboard, John.
Yeah. Okay.
So basically up here, this is my main dashboard of this is the main thing I use. So as I say earlier on, I've got all these temperature sensors and stuff. All my lights are there, door states are there, motion sensors. But the weather one for rain. So weather's built in by default for home automation and Home Assistant. So it gives you all the temperature, air pressure, humidity, wind speed. It gives you the forecast coming up. All these are individual separate entities, and you can write automations and stuff. I've not done so much with the weather yet, but what John was saying earlier on is my washer watch automation. Every time you leave it and log back in, it refreshes. Just bear with a second, it'll come back up. So for this one, there's quite a few nodes. It won't be long. It's never this slow. So washer watch. So basically, this is watching for. My laptop's burning up. It doesn't like all this stuff going off. It watches for the energy of a washer is greater than 10 watts, and then it'll wait until it drops below 5 watts, I believe it is, and then 2 watts. So that knows the cycle stopped. That's how basically the main driver behind my washer watch. But it'll check if I'm home. If not, it'll send me a notification. It notifies my phone, and then it waits until I am home, and then it gives a 2-minute delay, and it'll announce over the Alexas based on time. So if it's 8 in the morning till 7 p.m., it will announce around the house, and then out of that time range, it will only announce on the front room Alexa in a whisper. Because obviously I don't want to wake my kids up at like 9 o'clock when we have a late wash. That's quite cool. And then this is one I was playing with earlier on, John. It's basically just an inject node into the Alexa TTS, so text to speech. And then if I click this, it'll just broadcast out a message to my Alexa.
Hello, IoT North.
So you can customize notifications and stuff with what you want to write in there. So this is when you subscribe to the HAS.io, it gives you the Alexa API connectivity. Raw weather info can be pulled from your nearest weather station, which is usually an airport. I can dig out some details if you wish. That's really good, yeah. I'm not too far from Doncaster Airport. Hopefully it remains open. They're on about shutting it down, which would be a real big shock to it. In earlier, if Google Home has a whisper mode, I'm not sure, sorry, because this is using the AWS Alexa API. So, yeah, I only really play with the Alexas. I got quite a few around the house, so yeah, I'm not too sure on Google Home. Sorry.
That's really great to see it set up there. The flow of how you set up a workflow based on the images you're getting around the house.
Yeah, so we have so this is the office one I was mentioning earlier on about the weather, the temperature in my office. Sorry, so in hours is my work hours, out of hours, anything out of that, and a non-working day. So this is out of hours, non-working day. I don't want it to go too cold and then have to ramp up. So to do that, I need Home Assistant, then link Met Office data into my existing Arduino system. You might be able to just pull the Met Office API into Arduino already.
Yeah, Met Office have their own API, which returns as JSON. So you need an account at Met Office, and then you can just do an HTTP
JSON data
to request that. You don't particularly need Home Assist to do that.
Don't necessarily need it, but it's good.
Definitely good.
Yeah. Alexa notifications is a bit messy. This one, there's stuff all over. It's basically me just throwing stuff about. But this is my the temperature check for the boys. So it checks where we are, and then it'll let us know based on the temperature of the Alfie's room, which is the youngest. That's quite good. Fire TV.
Are you doing tours of your house, Dan, so we can see all this in action?
I should have used my laptop. Really, it's not very good at all. But this would have been the best one to demonstrate. It's the one I brought to dotnetsheff. This is just a four trigger switch. Basically, each button has 3 different values. So a single press, double press, and hold press. But what I've done is got one of these and printed out pictures of my kids' favorite TV programs. That one there. So when he presses, like, say, this button, it will bring up Paw Patrol. The second button would bring up something like CBeebies channel, and the other button would bring something like Bluey or something like that. Kev actually got a copyright strike on my .NET Talk because I was playing Shark Dog on Netflix. So I won't play any films on this one, so you don't get a copyright strike. Yeah, it's pretty much it.
A night. We had a bit of a false start. I again apologise for that. Me and Paul are going to work on our patter a bit more, and hopefully we won't make those mistakes again. Thanks for all the questions. Great engagement. Great talk from Janosch. Great talk from Dan there. Really, really interesting. Maybe we can have you back for your fireworks talk, because blowing things up, it has loads of
Yeah, I don't know if I can't remember if I mentioned it. I kind of talked too fast. Sorry if I spoke too fast.
You do fireworks displays as well.
So, yeah, I hold one of the highest qualifications in the BPA, the British Pyrotechnic Association. So we go out on the road doing big firework displays. Really, we do like Alexandra Palace.
I'm sure. Yeah, it definitely sounds IoT, doesn't it?
It's very computerized. So yeah, it's really good. It's really great.
Chris has got another question. I'm going to have to wrap it up after this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. How accurate are the round BLE temperature sensors? Can you paste a link, please, for those? And but yeah, I'll grab the unit and the BLE temperature sensors. I'll try and put them on my Twitter. So I'll reply to the IoT North.
Yeah, if you copy an IoT leads, I'll get IoT North to tweet it out for you.
Yeah. I'll grab those for you shortly. Take a note of that. Yeah, should be good.
Great. Thank you once again, and thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.